The stars were silent as the deep space listening station picked up a faint signal. It was weak, but clear enough to catch the attention of the Earth Space Command. The message repeated again and again, a simple pattern of pulses that stood out. Against the normal background noise, it was an SOS, a call for help from a distant part of the galaxy no ship had visited for decades. Commander? Sarah Malik stared at the screens in the control room. Her heart beat faster as she realized what this could mean. Somewhere out there, a human colony was still alive, or maybe it was trapped and dying. The last contact with the colony had been lost years ago, and many thought it was gone forever. Now, this signal changed everything. The Earth Council decided quickly. They sent their best rescue team on the fastest ship available, the Horizon Voyager. The crew was a mix of scientists, soldiers, and engineers, ready to face whatever waited on that distant death world. The ship left Earth quietly, its mission secret but urgent. Time was running out as the Horizon Voyager approached the planet. The signal grew stronger. The death world was a strange place, covered in dense forests and jagged mountains. The atmosphere was thick and heavy, almost like it was watching. The crew watched the planet through the ship's windows, feeling both fear and hope. Captain Malik gathered her team in the briefing room. "We don't know what we will find," she said. The colony's last message was fear, but now it's silence. This signal, it's different. We have to be ready for anything. The crew nodded, their faces serious. They trusted their captain, but none of them could hide the nervous tension. Landing was the hardest part. The ship shook as it passed through the thick atmosphere. Outside, strange storms rolled over the planet's surface, lighting the dark skies with fierce bolts of lightning. When the ship finally touched down, the silence was heavy. No signs of life met them, only empty buildings and abandoned machines. The rescue team moved carefully through the colony. The streets were empty, dust covering everything. It was like a ghost town. Suddenly, a faint sound echoed through the ruins, a warning. The team froze. The radios crackled with static then. A new message played through the speakers. It was not a call for help anymore. It was a warning, clear and cold. Leave this place or die. Fear gripped the crew. Captain Malik's eyes scanned the shadows. Something was watching them, something alive and dangerous. The colony had not been abandoned by chance. They had to find out what happened before it was too late. Suddenly, alarms blared on the ship. The Horizon Voyager was not alone in orbit. Unknown warships appeared on the radar, moving fast and silent. They were Deathworlders, the feared alien hunters of the galaxy. The crew's worst nightmare had come true. The Deathworlders sent a message of their own, simple and brutal. This world is ours. Leave or be destroyed. The rescue team prepared for battle, but hoped for a chance to talk. The tension was thick, and the first shots could start at any moment. Back on the planet, a small group of explorers discovered strange footprints near the colony's edge. They were large, deep, and unlike anything human. The jungle seemed to breathe alive with unseen eyes. Every step forward was a step deeper into danger. Captain Malik made a difficult decision. They would try to communicate with the Deathworlders and understand their claim. If war came, humanity would be ready, but she hoped it would not. The unknown was terrifying, but the rescue mission was still their duty. As night fell on the Death World, the signal from the void continued to pulse. It was no longer just a call for help, it was a challenge. The crew of the Horizon Voyager faced the greatest test of their lives. Somewhere in the darkness, answers waited, but so did the deadly hunters from the shadows. The story was only beginning. The Deathworlder. Ships circled the Horizon Voyager like predators waiting to strike. Inside the rescue ship, the crew's nerves were stretched thin. Every beep of the radar, every flicker on the screens, made their hearts race. Captain Sarah Malik stood firm on the bridge, her eyes fixed on the unknown warships outside. These were no ordinary aliens. The Deathworlders were legends of fear and power across the galaxy. No one had ever met them and lived to tell the tale. The ship's communications officer worked quickly, trying to open a channel. The message came through, cold and sharp. You have no right here. Leave or be destroyed. It was a warning, but not an offer for peace. The tension grew. The crew looked at each other silently. knowing they were trapped between fear and duty. Captain Malik took a deep breath. "We didn't come here to fight," she said calmly. "We came to find survivors and bring them home." But the Deathworlders didn't respond. Their warships moved closer, weapons glowing with deadly energy. The Horizon Voyager's sensors began to pick up strange readings from the planet below. Something was moving in the forests, fast and silent. The crew saw shapes flicker on the scanners, too large and too strange to be human. The jungle itself seemed alive, dangerous. On the planet's surface, a team of explorers moved carefully. Through the thick undergrowth, they found signs of the lost colony's last moments: smashed vehicles, scorched earth, and strange claw marks on trees. The air was thick with danger, and every shadow seemed to hide a threat. Suddenly, the explorers heard a low growl behind them. They turned slowly and saw glowing eyes staring through the darkness. Creatures unlike any known species, their bodies covered in thick scales and sharp spikes, moved forward. The team froze, weapons ready, but hands shaking. Back on the ship, Captain Malik ordered defensive preparations. Crew ran drills, checked weapons, and prepared for the worst. They didn't want war, but they would not back down. The survival of humanity depended on it. The Deathworlders sent another message, this time filled with hatred. "This world is ours. Your presence poisons it. Leave or be destroyed." The warning was clear. The rescue mission had become a battle. For survival, tensions inside the Horizon Voyager rose as the crew struggled to understand the alien threat. The Deathworlders were more than warriors. They were hunters, skilled and ruthless. Their ships were silent death machines, designed to kill without mercy. Captain Malik knew time was running out. They had to find out why the colony was lost, what the Deathworlders wanted, and if there was any hope for peace. The unknown waited in the darkness, full of danger and secrets. As the planet's storms raged outside, the Horizon Voyager prepared to fight or flee. The fate of the crew, the colony, and possibly Earth itself hung in the balance. The silence of space was broken by the roar of engines and the promise of war. The rescue mission had become a nightmare. It was only the beginning. The silence of space was broken by the steady beeping of the Horizon Voyager's sensors. Outside the thick windows, the alien warships moved with deadly grace. They were unlike anything the crew had seen before, enormous, dark, and covered, with strange patterns that seemed to shimmer in the cold light of distant stars. The Deathworlders had arrived, and their presence filled the rescue ship with a cold sense of dread. Captain Sarah Malik stood on the bridge, her eyes sharp and her mind racing. She had trained for moments like this, but nothing could prepare her for facing a race known across the galaxy as ruthless hunters. The crew looked to her for guidance, their faces a mix of fear and determination. Every second stretched like an eternity as the Deathworlder ships closed in, their weapon systems glowing ominously. The communication officer tried again to open a channel. Static filled the speakers, then a voice came through, harsh, clear, and full of warning. "You have no right here. Leave or be destroyed." The message left no room for negotiation. The Deathworlders made it clear this planet was theirs, and humans were trespass. Captain Malik's voice was calm but firm. "We are here to rescue survivors of a lost human colony. We mean no harm." But the Deathworlders did not answer. Their ships shifted position, preparing to attack. The bridge hummed with tension as the crew braced for what could be the start of a deadly battle. Down below on the planet's surface, a team of explorers moved carefully through the thick jungle. The air was heavy and humid, filled with the scent of strange plants and unknown dangers. The forest was alive in a way that made their skin crawl. Every rustle of leaves, every distant call seemed to watch and warn. The explorers found signs of destruction, broken vehicles half buried in mud, scorch marks on trees, and strange claw marks deep in the bark. The lost colony had not simply disappeared. It had been attacked, hunted. The team's nerves tightened with every step. Suddenly, a low growl echoed through the trees. Glowing eyes appeared in the darkness, creatures covered in tough scales. with sharp claws and teeth that glinted in the moonlight. They moved silently but swiftly, surrounding the humans. Weapons were drawn, but the explorers knew these creatures were deadly hunters. Born for the harsh death world, back on the ship, Captain Malik ordered full battle stations. The crew ran through drills, loaded weapons, and prepared the ship's defenses. They didn't want war, but they would not surrender. Humanity's survival depended on strength and courage. The Deathworlders sent a second message, dripping with hatred. This world is ours. Your presence corrupts it. Leave now or be destroyed. The warning was brutal and final. The rescue mission had turned into a fight for survival. Tensions inside the Horizon Voyager rose with every passing moment. The Deathworlders were not just warriors, they were expert hunters, using silent ships designed to kill quickly and efficiently. Their technology was advanced and terrifying. Captain Malik knew they had little time to uncover the truth. Why had the colony been attacked? What did the Deathworlders want? Was there any hope for peace? The unknown waited like a shadow in the darkness, filled with danger and secrets. As the storms raged outside the planet, lightning lit the dark skies. The Horizon Voyager prepared for a battle it had not expected, while down below, the jungle seemed to close in like a living trap. The fate of the crew, the lost colony, and Earth itself hung by a thread. The rescue mission had become a nightmare, one that would test the limits of human courage and will. The signal from the void was no longer a call for help. Challenge. And somewhere in the shadows, the hunters waited. The atmosphere inside the Horizon Voyager grew heavier with each passing moment. Captain Sarah Malik stood silently on the bridge, her eyes scanning the array of monitors that displayed the alien warships encircling them. These Deathworlders were unlike any threat humanity had faced before. Their ships were vast, black as the void itself, covered with strange, shifting symbols that seemed to glow faintly in the darkness of space. Their reputation as relentless hunters had spread across the galaxy, whispered in fear among explorers and soldiers alike. Now, the crew was face to face with that legend. The communications officer, Lieutenant Ramos, furiously worked the console, trying to establish contact. Static crackled through the speakers before the alien voice broke through. Harsh, cold, and commanding. You trespass on Deathworld territory. Leave immediately, or we will destroy you. There was no room for negotiation. No hint of mercy. The warning hit the crew like a shockwave. Captain Malik's voice cut through the tension. We come in peace. Our mission is to rescue survivors of a lost human colony. We mean no harm. She glanced around at her crew, meeting their anxious eyes. Stay ready, but hold fire unless we have no choice. The room held its breath, waiting for a response that never came. Outside, Deathworlder ships shifted formation, their weapons charging with an eerie glow. The crew felt the cold grip of impending battle tighten. Every system was scanned repeatedly for threats. Every sensor monitored the planet below. The dense jungle of the Deathworld was visible, even from Orbita, swirling mass of dark green and black, alive with unseen movement. On the planet's surface, the team of explorers navigated cautiously through the thick undergrowth. The air was heavy, sticky with humidity, and the sounds of the jungle were both alien and ominous. Strange plants rustled without wind, and distant calls echoed eerily through the trees. The explorers, armed and alert, felt the weight of the unknown pressing in around them. Their mission was to uncover what had happened to the colony, why it had gone silent. And if any survivors remained, as they moved deeper, they discovered signs of devastation. Crushed and burned vehicles scattered among the ruins of buildings. Walls scored with deep claw marks and scorch marks that spoke of intense battles. It was clear the colony had been attacked, not abandoned peacefully. Suddenly, a low, guttural growl vibrated through the forest. The explorers froze, weapons raised. Eyes reflected in the dim light, many pairs of them belonged to creatures unlike anything known. Their thick, scaly hides glistened in the moonlight. Spikes bristled along their backs, and their jaws snapped silently as they closed in. The predators of this death world had not left the colony alone. They had claimed it. Back on the ship, tension reached a breaking point. Captain Malik ordered battle stations, and the crew moved swiftly to prepare. Engineers checked the ship's shields and weapon systems. Soldiers ran through drills, and scientists monitored the alien signals. They had come hoping to save lives, but now survival was the only goal. The Deathworlders broadcast another chilling message. This world is sacred. Your presence poisons it. Leave now, or face annihilation. The words were filled with ancient hatred. It's a warning that humanity had crossed a boundary not meant to be crossed. Captain Malik clenched her fists. "We won't abandon those who need us," she said, "but we will defend ourselves." Her determination sparked a fierce resolve in her crew. The alien warships moved in tighter, their weapons primed. Suddenly, the first shots fired, a brilliant flash of light, followed by explosions that rocked the ship. The battle had begun. Inside the horizon, Voyager alarms screamed as systems came under attack. The crew worked with precision and urgency, firing back with their own weapons. As the space around the Death World lit up with the fury of combat, bursts of energy streaking through the blackness. Despite the danger, humanity's fighters showed skill and courage, using clever tactics to hold their ground. Meanwhile, on the planet, the jungle became a deadly maze. The explorers fought for every inch, dodging the attacks of the Death World's terrifying creatures. The thick foliage hid traps and dangers, and every step could be their last. They had to find the colony's secrets before both sides were destroyed. "Captain?" Malik's mind raced. The colony held answer secrets that might explain the Deathworlders' hatred and the true danger lurking beneath the surface. But time was short, and the war was only beginning. As the storm clouds gathered overhead and lightning cracked through the alien sky, the Horizon Voyager and its crew faced a choice: fight for survival or retreat into the silence of space. Rescue mission had turned into a battle for humanity's place in the galaxy. The signal from the void was no longer a cry for help. It was a challenge. And somewhere deep in the shadows of the Death World, something was waiting. The Horizon Voyager rocked violently as energy blasts slammed into its hull. The deafening alarms echoed through the ship's corridors, mixing with the shouts of crew members rushing to their stations. Outside the thick windows, streaks of deadly light tore through space as the Deathworlder warships unleashed a relentless assault. Captain Sarah Malik gripped the railing on the bridge, her jaw tight, eyes sharp as she commanded her crew through the chaos. The battle was fierce, and unlike any fight the crew had faced before. The Deathworlders moved with terrifying precision, their ships weaving through space like deadly hunters stalking prey. Their weapons fired with brutal efficiency, cutting down shields and crippling systems. But humanity was not ready to give up. The Horizon Voyager's guns flared, firing bursts of plasma and missiles that tore into enemy ships. Explosions lit up the darkness as enemy vessels were blasted apart. Below, on the Deathworld surface, the jungle was a battlefield of its own. The team of explorers fought desperately against the planet's monstrous predators. The creatures moved fast and silently, striking from shadows and disappearing before the humans could react. Each step forward was a struggle for survival. The explorers used every weapon and tactic they had, but the jungle itself seemed determined to crush them. Captain Malik's voice came through the ship's comms, steady and commanding. "Hold your positions. Protect the ship. We will not let them take this mission from us." Her leadership inspired the crew to fight harder, to push back against the alien onslaught. As the battle raged in orbit, a startling discovery was made. The explorers found a hidden bunker beneath the colony ruins. Inside were signs of advanced technology and strange devices, unlike anything built on Earth. Old logs revealed the colony had been experimenting with powerful weapons, ones that could change the balance of power in the galaxy. The Deathworlders' fury was tied to this secret. They were not just hunters, they were guardians of something ancient and terrible. The colony had crossed a line, and now both humans and Deathworlders faced the consequences. Back on the ship, damage control teams worked frantically to repair critical systems. Fires raged in some sections, and oxygen levels dropped dangerously low. The crew's endurance was pushed to the limit. Still, they refused to surrender. In a bold move, Captain Malik ordered a strike on the largest enemy warship. The Horizon Voyager's weapons locked onto the target, and a massive blast tore through the darkness. The enemy ship shuddered, then exploded in a fiery ball. Cheers erupted on the bridge, but there was no time to celebrate. The Deathworlders responded with renewed rage, focusing their fire on the damaged ship. The battle intensified, each side willing to risk everything. Captain Malik knew the mission's true test was still ahead in covering the colony's secret and surviving the deadly world below. As the night deepened on the Death World, the storm clouds rolled in again. Lightning flashed, illuminating the twisted shapes of the jungle. The explorers prepared for another fight, while the Horizon Voyager held firm in orbit, battered but unbroken. The war was far from over. The fight for survival had only just begun. The dense jungle of the Death World stretched endlessly beneath the darkened skies. Lightning cracked through the heavy clouds, casting brief, eerie light over twisted trees and thick undergrowth that seemed to pulse with a life of its own. The air was thick and humid, filled with strange scents, some sweet, others sharp and bitter. Every sound, from the distant rumble of thunder to the rustling of leaves, seemed amplified, making the explorers feel as if the forest itself was watching their every move. Captain Malik's ground team moved cautiously through the alien wilderness, weapons ready and senses alert. Each step was careful. The soft earth muffled their footsteps, but the feeling of unseen eyes tracking them never left. The survivors of the lost colony might still be here, but the team knew they were not alone. The signs of recent violence scorched earth, clawed trees, and broken machinery hinted at a battle fought and lost. The colony's silence was no accident. Suddenly, the explorers came upon a massive pit carved into the earth, surrounded by strange markings etched deep into the rock. The symbols pulsed faintly with a blue light, as if charged by some ancient power. This was no ordinary battlefield. It was a place of secrets, and possibly of deadly traps. As they moved closer, a deep growl echoed through the trees. The ground trembled beneath their feet. From the shadows emerged the Death World's native predators, enormous beasts covered in armored scales and rows of jagged spines. Their eyes burned with fierce intelligence and hunger. The creatures circled the humans, muscles tense to strike, making the team realize they were not just hunters, but guardians of the planet's darkest secrets. Meanwhile, aboard the Horizon Voyager, Captain Malik coordinated the defense of the ship with steady resolve. The battle in orbit had slowed, but not ended. Damage control teams patched hull breaches, while weapons officers scanned for enemy reinforcements. The Deathworlders were relentless, their warships adapting quickly to humanity's tactics. Every minute in orbit was a battle for survival. Suddenly, a new transmission crackled through the ship's comm system. It was from an unknown source, an encrypted message filled with fragmented data and strange alien code. The ship's scientists and cryptographers worked feverishly to decode it. Slowly, the message began to reveal itself. It was a warning from a faction of Deathworlders who opposed the war. They spoke of an ancient weapon buried beneath the colony, one capable of destroying entire star systems. Captain Malik realized the stakes had grown even higher. The lost colony had been experimenting with this weapon, and it was the real reason for the Deathworlders' fury. If activated, or falling into the wrong hands, the weapon could mean the end of many worlds, including Earth. The ground team, unaware of this new discovery, fought desperately to survive. The jungle became a maze of death, with predators attacking. From all sides, the explorers used every skill they had, strategic retreat, clever traps, and precise fire, to stay alive. But the forest was relentless, and the secrets it protected were deadly. Back on the ship, the crew prepared for a daring plan. Captain Malik decided that they could not win the battle in orbit without ending the threat on the planet. A small strike team would descend to locate and secure the ancient weapon before the Deathworlders could use it against them or anyone else. The tension was unbearable. Every decision carried weight beyond their lives. The mission was no longer just a rescue, it was a race to stop a catastrophe that could change the galaxy forever as the storm raged on the Deathworld. The explorers pushed deeper into the jungle's heart, unaware that every step brought them closer to a secret that could either save or destroy humanity. The signal from the void was no longer a cry for help. It was a call to war, a test of courage, and a challenge no one could ignore. The Horizon Voyager shuddered under the weight of countless impacts, its hull scarred and battered, but still holding strong. Captain Sarah Malik stood firm on the bridge, her face set with grim determination. The battle for the Deathworld was reaching its brutal climax. Above, the war in orbit raged. But the real fight was happening down below, where the survivors and Deathworlders clashed in the shadowed jungle. The strike team moved swiftly through the tangled undergrowth, the ancient weapons location, drawing them ever closer. The ground was scarred and broken, evidence of long-forgotten battles and recent chaos. The team's every step stirred the forest's dangers, unseen creatures watching, waiting for the moment to strike. Yet the explorers pressed forward, driven by the knowledge that the fate of many worlds depended on what they found, deep underground. Hidden beneath layers of rock and ancient roots lay the secret the colony had tried to keep hidden. The weapon was massive, a relic of unimaginable power. Its design was alien, yet somehow familiar, a dark fusion of technology and raw energy that pulsed faintly with a life of its own. The strike team's scientists worked quickly, scanning and trying to understand what they had uncovered. This was no ordinary weapon. It was capable of destruction beyond any conventional means. Suddenly, the Deathworlders attacked with brutal force, desperate to protect the weapon and their sacred ground. The jungle erupted in a fierce battle. Gunfire mingled with the roar of alien beasts, explosions shook the earth, and the air was thick with smoke and fear. The strike team fought back with everything they had, using both human ingenuity and the technology scavenged from the colony. Captain Malik coordinated the fight from orbit, directing reinforcements and managing the ship's defenses. The Horizon Voyager's guns fired in support, targeting enemy warships that threatened to overwhelm them. Despite the odds, humanity's resolve held firm. The Deathworlders, though fierce and skilled, were challenged in ways they had not expected. As the battle reached its peak, the weapon began to react. It pulsed faster, its energy building to a terrifying crescendo. The team realized that if they did not shut it down, the weapon would unleash devastation that could wipe out the Deathworld, the colony's remains, and possibly the entire system. In a final desperate act, Captain Malik ordered the team to overload the weapon's power source. The explorers worked frantically, knowing that the risk was high. If they failed, the explosion would be catastrophic. If they succeeded, it might save countless lives. With seconds to spare, the strike team triggered the overload. The weapon shattered in a blinding flash, energy rippling through the ground and sky. The Deathworlders howled in rage and despair. As their sacred relic was destroyed, the battle ended as suddenly as it began. The jungle grew quiet, the storm clouds parted, and the Horizon Voyager drifted in orbit, battered but victorious. The survivors had paid a high price, but they had saved not only themselves, but potentially the entire galaxy from a terrible fate. Captain Malik looked out at the stars, knowing this was only the beginning. The signal from the void had been answered, but the true war was far from over. Somewhere beyond the darkness, new challenges awaited, and humanity would be ready.